The grand ballroom of the Regal Crest Hotel glittered under a cascade of golden chandeliers. The city's wealthiest and most influential people mingled, glasses of champagne in hand, their laughter echoing through the hall. Dressed in a tailored black suit, Tyler Kensington walked through the crowd, his sharp blue eyes scanning the room with practiced detachment. The young millionaire was used to these charity galas, filled with superficial conversations and empty smiles. To him, it was just another obligatory event, something his family insisted he attend for appearances. But tonight, something felt different. Across the crowded room, a woman stood by the stage, directing the staff and ensuring every detail was flawless. Lily Monroe, with her silky chestnut waves cascading over her shoulders and a simple yet elegant emerald dress, wasn't like the other women draped in designer labels and diamond necklaces. She wasn't there to dazzle the rich. She was working, making sure the event went off without a hitch. She carried herself with grace and focus, her beauty effortless and natural, standing out even without trying. Tyler's gaze lingered on her longer than he intended. There was something about her, a kind of quiet confidence, an unpretentious aura in a room full of showmanship. For a man who had everything money could buy, Tyler found himself intrigued by the one person who didn't seem to notice or care who he was. Lily was too busy managing last-minute changes to notice the handsome millionaire watching her. She checked the floral arrangements, gave final instructions to the caterers, and made sure the auction items were perfectly arranged. She took pride in her work, though she felt invisible in this world of wealth and privilege. Men like Tyler Kensington didn't usually spare a glance at women like her, but fate had other plans. As Tyler made his way to the bar, a careless guest nearly knocked over a tray of wine glasses. Quick as lightning, Lily stepped in, steadying the tray and preventing a disaster. Their eyes met for the first time. A brief, electrifying moment neither of them expected. A spark, unexplainable, passed between them. "Impressive reflexes," Tyler said, a hint of a smile curving his lips. His voice was smooth, rich like velvet. Lily straightened, her pulse quickening. "Just doing my job," she replied with a polite, professional smile, though something about his piercing blue eyes made her stomach flutter. Tyler extended a hand. "Tyler Kensington." "I know who you are," she admitted softly, taking his hand, feeling a warmth she didn't expect. "Lily Monroe, event planner." Their handshake lingered a little too long, neither quite ready to pull away. Tyler, usually guarded, felt an unfamiliar pull in his chest. Lily's natural elegance and sincerity were a breath of fresh air in his world of masks and facades. "I have to say, this is one of the better events I've attended," he said genuinely, "and that's not something I say often." "Thank you," Lily replied, surprised by his kind words. She fought to stay composed, though inside her heart raced. Tyler Kensington wasn't just handsome. He was charismatic and oddly real. For a brief moment, the world around them blurred, the clinking glasses and murmuring conversations fading into the background. There was a connection neither of them could explain, a silent conversation spoken through glances and half-smiles. And just like that, something shifted. As Tyler was called away by an associate, he glanced back at Lily, an unspoken question in his eyes. She held his gaze, wondering why a man like him would notice a woman like her. And yet, she felt it too. A strange, inexplicable pull neither of them could ignore. It was the beginning of something neither had planned for, a chance encounter that would soon unravel the walls they'd carefully built around their hearts. The gala had begun to quiet down as the final speeches were made, and the guests slowly started to leave. Tyler, still unusually drawn to Lily, found himself seeking her out again. She was by the entrance, finalizing details with the hotel staff. Approaching her with that effortless confidence, he offered a smile that could melt ice. "I know you've been running around all night," he said, his tone gentle, "but how about dinner?" "As a thank you, nothing formal, just food." Lily blinked in surprise. For a moment, she considered saying no. She wasn't one to mix work and personal life, and a man like Tyler Kensington existed in a world far from hers. But there was something genuine in his offer, And after a long, exhausting day, the idea of unwinding didn't sound so bad. All right, she agreed, offering a soft smile, but only if it's somewhere quiet. Minutes later, they found themselves in a cozy, dimly lit bistro, tucked away from the city's glittering chaos. The walls were lined with vintage photographs, the scent of warm bread and spices filling the air. The simplicity of it surprised Lily. She had expected some grand, exclusive venue, but Tyler had chosen a place that felt intimate and real. Over candlelight, conversation flowed effortlessly. Tyler asked her about her work, her dreams, her childhood, genuinely curious, not the empty small talk she was used to at these events. Lily, a little guarded at first, found herself opening up. She spoke of her love for art, her dream to one day open her own event firm, and how she'd built herself up from nothing. What surprised Tyler most was how little she cared about his wealth. Lily wasn't impressed by his last name or his status. She challenged him, teased him, made him laugh in ways he hadn't in years. It wasn't about business deals or social standing with her. It was honest. It was rare. For Lily, the attraction was growing in ways she hadn't anticipated. Yes, Tyler was undeniably handsome. His blue eyes and easy grin could stop hearts. But it was the sincerity behind his questions, the depth of his gaze, that made her pulse quicken. He listened, really listened, and it made her feel seen. As the evening wore on, neither wanted it to end. Stepping out into the cool night air, the city lights shimmering around them, Tyler hesitated. His heart, usually so carefully guarded, felt strangely light. "Would you like to see the city?" he asked softly, his voice carrying a note of vulnerability. "I can't help but feel like this night should last longer." Lily laughed, a warm, genuine sound that made his chest tighten. "Why not?" she replied, surprising even herself. And so they wandered, along quiet streets and crowded squares, past glowing storefronts and street musicians playing soft melodies. They talked about life, love, fears, and old regrets. Tyler shared stories of his lonely childhood in a wealthy but cold household. Lily spoke of working double shifts to put herself through college. Every word, every glance wove a thread between them. Somewhere between the laughter and lingering looks, the night became something neither of them expected. It wasn't about a rich man entertaining an event planner anymore. It was about two people finding something rare, a connection that neither wealth nor circumstance could manufacture. As midnight crept in, Tyler glanced at Lily, her face illuminated by the soft glow of a nearby street lamp. "I haven't felt this way in a long time," he admitted, his voice low, almost afraid of his own honesty. Lily's heart raced at his words, but she didn't run. Instead, she smiled softly, a warmth in her eyes. "Neither have I." The city, once loud and bustling, now felt like it existed only for them. And in that perfect, fleeting moment, a night that wasn't supposed to mean anything suddenly meant everything. The next morning, Tyler Kensington sat by the massive glass window of his penthouse, staring out at the city skyline he usually ruled over with ease. But today the world seemed quieter, distant, as though something inside him had shifted. His thoughts kept drifting back to Lily Monroe, the way she laughed, how her eyes sparkled under the city lights, and the easy honesty in her voice. It unsettled him in a way that no business deal, no high-profile socialite ever had. For a man who always got what he wanted, this was uncharted territory. Tyler wasn't used to craving someone's presence. Not like this. Impulsively, he reached for his phone, his thumb hovering over her number, unsure for the first time in years. Was it foolish? Maybe, but he dialed anyway. Lily was at her tiny office going through event invoices and flower arrangements when her phone buzzed. Seeing Tyler's name made her stomach flutter in a way she wished it wouldn't. She told herself it was just curiosity, maybe a little excitement from being noticed by a man like him. But deep down it was more, and that scared her. "Hey," Tyler's voice came through, soft but confident. I I was wondering if you'd like to meet again tonight." For a moment, Lily didn't answer. She bit her lip, her heart caught between what she wanted and what she should do. As much as she longed to see him again, she knew their worlds didn't mix. It wasn't just about status. It was about reality. His life was fast, glossy, and temporary. She wasn't sure she wanted to be just another evening in his long list of forgettable nights. "I don't know, Tyler," she replied carefully, her voice a mixture of warmth and distance. "I had a really nice time, but maybe it's best we leave it at that." Tyler was silent for a beat, and then his tone softened, a rare vulnerability slipping through. "You don't have to say yes, Lily. I get it. But if you do, it'll be another night I'll never forget." Those words tugged at Lily's defenses. He wasn't playing games, wasn't pretending. There was an honesty in his voice that disarmed her. She smiled faintly, even though no one could see. Why did this man, with everything, sound like he was afraid to lose something? Still, the invisible walls around her heart stayed up. She'd built them for a reason. Lily had seen too many people get hurt chasing fairy tales that were never meant to last. "I'll think about it," she said softly. After hanging up, Lily leaned back in her chair, conflicted. Her heart told her one thing, her head another. Could she really risk falling for someone like Tyler? Would this be a beautiful memory or a painful mistake? Meanwhile, Tyler Kensington sat back, staring at his phone with a rare look of frustration. He wasn't used to hesitation, not from anyone, and yet Lily's careful distance only made him want her more. It wasn't about the chase, it was about the connection, about how he felt more like himself around her than he had in years. As night fell over the city, both of them lay in their separate worlds, thinking of one another, the unseen walls between them growing higher, and yet somehow more fragile with every passing second. Neither of them knew it yet, but this was no longer a fleeting moment. It was the quiet beginning of something neither of them could control. Their next evening together had a different air, softer, quieter, stripped of the glittering surface that had surrounded them before. This wasn't just a date anymore. It was something else, something neither of them could quite name, though both felt its weight. Tyler picked Lily up in a classic black car, not his usual flashy ride. He wanted the night to feel different, more real. They ended up at a little cafe tucked into a quiet corner of the city, a place far away from the uptight charity galas and polished country clubs Tyler usually haunted. Lily liked it immediately. Over dim lighting and steaming cups of coffee, Tyler surprised her by breaking the silence first. His blue eyes, usually so sharp and unreadable, now held a softness she hadn't seen before. "You know," he began, his voice low, "most people think being born into money makes life easier. But it doesn't. Not when every decision you make, every person you date, is about image, status, not love." Lily listened, her heart pulling in her chest as Tyler spoke about his father's impossible expectations and his mother's cold detachment. He admitted that, despite having everything, he'd never really known what it was like to be loved for who he was. Not the Kensington heir, not the millionaire. Just Tyler. "I've never had the freedom to fall for someone who wasn't strategic," he confessed, his lips curving into a sad smile. "And somehow you make me forget all that." Lily's throat tightened. It wasn't what she expected to hear. For a man like Tyler, guarded and polished, this honesty felt monumental, and it made her brave enough to open her own wounds. She looked down, tracing the rim of her cup. "I've spent my whole life feeling like I don't belong," she admitted quietly. "I wasn't born into money. I had to fight for every inch of space I've taken in this city. People look right past you when you don't wear designer labels or come from the right family. It's exhausting, trying to prove your worth in a world that measures it by your last name." Tyler's gaze didn't leave her face. "You don't have to prove anything to me, Lily." She smiled a little sadly. "I dream of having my own business one day. Not just for me, but so I can help people like me, people nobody sees. I want to build something meaningful, not just glitter on the surface." His heart twisted at her words. For the first time in a long, long while, Tyler felt truly seen. Not for his money, his face, or his name, but for the man underneath it all. And as he looked across the table at this beautiful, brave, fiercely independent woman, he realized something terrifying and wonderful. He was falling for her. In that moment, everything else faded. The wealth, the expectations, the unspoken rules of their separate worlds. It was just Tyler and Lily, two souls craving something real in a world that rarely offered it. And neither of them would ever be the same again. For a while, it felt like nothing could touch them. Every conversation, every glance, and every heartbeat pulled Tyler and Lily closer. But life, as always, had its own cruel sense of timing. It happened one bright afternoon. Tyler was at his office when the glass doors swung open, and in walked Emma Whitmore, the perfect porcelain doll socialite from his past. Her blonde waves were immaculate, her designer dress clinging to her like a second skin. Emma had always been everything his family wanted for him. Elegant, poised, and bred for the high society Tyler was born into. Tyler's stomach twisted as she announced in front of his staff, "We have unfinished business, darling." "You left too soon. We're still engaged." The words hung in the air like a heavy storm cloud. Tyler's mind reeled. He had ended things with Emma months ago, made it clear there was no future between them. But Emma refused to let go of him, of the name, of the Kensington fortune. When Lily heard about Emma's sudden reappearance, her heart cracked. She tried to stay strong, but deep down, insecurity crept in. She knew what Emma represented: wealth, status, and everything Tyler's world was built on. How could she ever measure up to that? Her phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from Tyler, begging her to meet him, to hear him out. But Lily, feeling betrayed and out of place, made a painful decision. She left. She packed her things from her tiny apartment and disappeared for a while, needing space to breathe, to escape a life she never meant to stumble into. Tyler was devastated. Emma's presence was suffocating, and every moment spent with her felt like drowning. He wasn't that man anymore. He didn't care about polished reputations or arranged futures. His heart wasn't with Emma. It belonged to Lily, the woman who challenged him, laughed with him, and made him feel human for the first time. One night, sitting alone in the city penthouse that once felt like everything, Tyler stared at the skyline and knew what he had to do. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about family legacies. It was about choosing the woman who made him feel alive, the woman who made him believe in something bigger than names and money. Tyler made a vow to himself right there. He would find Lily, and he would fight for her, even if it meant turning his back on the world he'd always known. Because some love stories weren't written in ballrooms and bank statements. Some were carved from courage, heartbreak, and impossible choices. And this was theirs. The days without Lily had stretched endlessly for Tyler. The city's glitter had dulled, and the silence of his penthouse echoed louder than any applause he'd ever received. Every deal signed, every meeting held, felt hollow. The weight of his choices pressed heavily on his heart. There was only one decision left to make. Tyler canceled everything. He cleared his calendar, ignored his assistant's protests, and without hesitation, booked the next flight to Lily's hometown. No press, no driver, just a man chasing the only thing that ever truly mattered to him. It was raining when he arrived. The small-town streets felt like a world away from the cold glass towers of his life. But for the first time, Tyler felt like he was exactly where he belonged. He stood outside her modest apartment, soaked to the bone, rehearsing what he'd say. His heart pounded, not from nerves, but from something real, something he'd never let himself feel before. When Lily opened the door, her breath caught. The sight of him, drenched, exhausted, yet unmistakably beautiful, made her heart ache. His blue eyes, usually so controlled, were filled with raw, unguarded emotion. "Lily," he began, his voice thick with feeling, "I've made 1,000 decisions in my life. Business deals, mergers, partnerships. I've followed expectations, played the part everyone needed me to play. But this," he stepped closer, his hand gently brushing hers, "this is the first decision that feels right." Tears pricked at Lily's eyes. She never imagined Tyler Kensington, the untouchable millionaire, would stand at her door like this, vulnerable, sincere, real. "I don't want the past," Tyler continued. "I don't want what my family or the world thinks I should have. I want you, just you." Lily's voice trembled. Tyler, I, I didn't think you'd come. I couldn't stay away, he admitted. You're the only thing that's made me feel alive. And I'll prove it, Lily. I'll choose you every single time, no matter what it costs. The world seemed to fall away in that moment. No Emma, no headlines, no expectations. Just two hearts, speaking in a language neither of them had ever known. A tear slid down Lily's cheek as she reached out, her fingers intertwining with his. I'm scared, Tyler, she whispered. So am I, he smiled softly. But maybe it's okay to be scared if it means we're brave together. And standing in the doorway with the storm raging around them, something shifted. A bold decision had been made, and neither of their lives would ever be the same again. The air was cool as the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange, purple, and gold. Tyler drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting near Lily's, stealing glances at her as the last light of day touched her face. She looked peaceful, yet there was a flicker of something deeper in her eyes. Where are we going? Lily asked with a gentle smile. You'll see, Tyler replied, a playful mystery in his voice. They arrived at a secluded beach, where the soft sound of waves lapping against the shore greeted them. No cameras, no crowds, no pressure. Just open sky and endless water. Tyler spread out a blanket on the sand, pulling out a small basket with wine, fresh fruit, and chocolate-covered strawberries. I thought we deserved a night that was just ours, he said quietly. Lily's heart warmed. No one had ever done something so simple, yet so meaningful for her. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. As the sun touched the edge of the ocean, they sat side by side, toes buried in the sand, watching the colors change. It's beautiful, Lily whispered. I was just thinking the same thing, Tyler replied, his gaze fixed on her, not the sunset. They talked for hours, about childhood memories, secret dreams, favorite songs, and silly fears. Tyler confessed he always wanted to learn to play the guitar, while Lily admitted her dream was to open a small cafe by the sea. You'd make the best cafe owner, Tyler grinned, imagining it. And you, she teased, could finally learn guitar and play outside my cafe. They both laughed, the sound easy and full of possibility. As darkness fell, the stars scattered across the sky like glitter. Tyler reached for her hand, lacing his fingers through hers. Lily, I wish this night would never end, he murmured, his voice unsteady with emotion. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I want to spend it with you. Lily's heart swelled. Tears threatened to fall, but she blinked them away. Without a word, she leaned in, brushing her lips softly against his. A kiss that spoke of gratitude, hope, and something deeper neither of them dared name yet. As the waves rolled in, their silhouettes blended into the night, two souls finding peace in each other's arms. And in that perfect, fleeting moment, they knew this was just the beginning, a love neither of them had ever known, a night they would never forget. Love isn't about wealth, titles, or the world's expectations. It's about two hearts connecting in the purest, most honest way. This story reminds us that no matter how different our worlds might seem, true love finds its way through sincerity, kindness, and courage. Tyler and Lily's journey teaches us that breaking away from shallow standards and choosing people for who they are, not what they have, leads to the kind of happiness money can't buy. It speaks to those who've ever felt like outsiders, to the ones who think they don't fit into someone else's perfect world. You are worthy of love, of being seen, of being chosen. Life isn't about living up to anyone else's definition of success. It's about finding the moments and the people that make you feel truly alive. This story asks us to stop chasing perfection and instead value honesty, integrity, and real connections. We need to build a world where love isn't measured by bank accounts or last names, but by laughter shared under starlit skies and honest words spoken at the right time. Let's remember that it's the people who see us when we're at our most vulnerable and love us anyway, who are worth keeping close. No matter how different we seem, love has a beautiful way of bringing us together when we least expect it. So let's all strive to be like Lily, who stayed true to herself, and like Tyler, who found the courage to break the mold and follow his heart. Let's support each other in finding meaningful, beautiful love stories in our own lives, ones that defy status and expectations. And if this story warmed your heart, made you smile, or reminded you of the beauty in simple, sincere moments, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so you never miss another story filled with emotion, romance, and life lessons. Your support means the world to me, and together we can spread love, hope, and heartfelt moments to people everywhere. Thank you for being here. Let's keep making beautiful memories together.